Hey there, Hawks. Coming to you again live from my living room. We are going to be reading the next episode of the Odyssey called Argus. It's about a dog, if you didn't get that last hint in the previous video. This one's a short episode, so we'll try to get through it as quickly as possible, and there'll only be a few questions on it, so make sure you're paying attention as we read together. As with last time, you can have your own version of the text open and split your screen, or you can just read along with me when I share my screen with you. All right, here we go. Argus. Odysseus heads for town with Eumaeus. Remember, that is his faithful swineherd from the last episode. Heads to town with Eumaeus. Outside the palace, Odysseus' old dog, Argus, is lying at rest as his long absent master approaches. While he spoke, an old hound lying near pricked up his ears and lifted his muzzle. This was Argus, trained as a puppy by Odysseus, but never taken on a hunt before his master sailed for Troy. The young men afterward hunted wild goats with him, and hare and deer, but he had grown old in his master's absence. Treated as rubbish now, he lay at last upon a mass of dung before the gates. Manure of mules and cows piled there until field hands could spread it on the king's estate. Abandoned there and half destroyed with flies, old Argus lay. So Argus isn't doing so hot, you guys. He's old. He's very old. In fact, let's think about that for a second. Odysseus has been away from his homeland of Ithaca for how long? Right, for like 20 years. So Argus is an old dog, and he's held on all this time. He's not doing so well. It doesn't sound like he's been treated very well by other people. There's a reason for this episode. So let's continue reading then. So we're on line 1175. Abandoned there and half destroyed with flies, old Argus lay. But when he knew he heard Odysseus's voice nearby, he did his best to wag his tail, nose down with flattened ears, having no strength to move nearer his master. And the man looked away, wiping a salt tear from his cheek, but he hid this from Eumaeus. Then he said, I marvel that they leave this hound to lie here on the dung pile. He would have been a fine dog from the look of him, though I can't say as to his power and speed when he was young. You find the same good build in house dogs, table dogs that landowners keep all for style. And you, replied Eumaeus, a hunter owned him, but the man is dead in some far-off place. If this old hound could show the form he had when Lord Odysseus left him going to Troy, you'd see him swift and strong. He never shrank away from any savage thing he brought to bay in the deep woods, on the scent. No other dog kept up with him. Now misery has him in leash. His owner died abroad, and here the women slaves will not take care of him. You know how servants are. Without a master, they have no will to labor or excel. For Zeus, who views the wide world, takes away half the manhood of a man the day he goes into captivity and slavery. Eumaeus crossed the court and went straight forward into the Megaron among the suitors. But death and darkness in that instant closed the eyes of Argus, who had seen his master Odysseus after 20 years. So I want you to review, just for the sake of understanding, what happened in this episode. Give me like a quick little summary of what happened in the episode about Argus. So just to review, Odysseus is heading with Eumaeus and they're going toward Odysseus's house, but Odysseus isn't dressed like himself. Remember, he is going back to his home dressed in the disguise of the beggar that Athena disguised him in. So he doesn't look like himself, and he and Eumaeus are walking down. Eumaeus doesn't even know who he is. And they see Argus lying there, old and decrepit on the dung pile of poop. And nobody is really caring for him anymore. But Argus recognizes Odysseus. He like perks his head up and tries to wag his tail. He knows, even through the disguise, that that is his master. And Odysseus can't give himself away. So he has to kind of turn away from the dog, and he lets a single tear drop out, and he asks Eumaeus why no one's been taking care of the dog. And at the end of the episode, Argus finally, having seen his master for the first time in 20 years, having held on that entire time, allows himself to finally die, closes his eyes, and goes to the long nap in the sky. So this episode really isn't about Odysseus being heroic so much as it is focused on Argus. So I want you to think and respond. Why is it that the creators of this epic poem, who are supposed to be focused on the traits of an epic hero, why is it that they included this episode so focused on a dog? What is it that Argus is demonstrating here that makes him worthy of being included in this episode? Why Argus? Okie dokie, Hawks. So hopefully you've come to the conclusion or something along the line of the fact that Argus is showing one of those Greek values, that idea of faithfulness, right? He had other people who hunted with him and who he spent his life with, but his master, his owner, was truly Odysseus, and he could not allow himself to die even without seeing his master one more time. And only once he saw Odysseus return and acknowledge him and be able to acknowledge his master again did he allow himself to finally rest. So although Odysseus wasn't as prominent in this episode, it was Argus who was demonstrating the Greek value of faithfulness. All right, I will see you for our next video, Hawks. Make sure you are taking care to read along and answer the questions as thoughtfully as possible. See you next time.